All right, Wildcats, Chapter 7, Lesson 1. We are switching into life sciences. So if we go back here, Lesson 1, sunlight, water, air, plants, animals, and you. How do you and other living things interact with the environment? Lesson 2, Earth's biomes range from scorching deserts to steamy rainforests to the bottom of the ocean. What organisms live in these places? How do they survive? And Lesson 3, green plants and algae use sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to make food. How do nutrients and water cycle through the biosphere? Okay, a lot of vocabulary terms, including desert, grassland, and tundra. So you notice now we're switching from the core and the structure of the planet and plate tectonics into plants, animals, and organisms. On page 264, we have the biosphere. So your name, class, date, Science FNT, Chapter 7, Lesson 1, page 264, and in blue, the title of the lesson, Biosphere. Main idea / essential question. Read it with me. An ecosystem is a community of living organisms and their environment. All of Earth's ecosystems are found in a narrow zone at or near Earth's surface, called the biosphere. Okay, copy all that down for your main idea. Vocabulary terms. Abiotic factor. Say that. Abiotic factor. So the A means not. In other words, it is not biotic or not alive. Page 264. Abiotic. Go backwards. Any non-living part of an ecosystem is called an abiotic factor. Abiotic factor, non-living part of ecosystem. For spelling, go look at the words over here. Biosphere, page 264. They say it's pronounced bi-us-phere, biosphere. I like to say the O, biosphere. You can say it either way. Okay, the narrow zone at or near Earth's surface where life is able to exist. Narrow zone at Earth's surface with life. See the little indent there? That means that those two lines go together. Biotic factor. Well, if an abiotic factor is not living, then biotic is probably living. Any living part of an ecosystem is called a biotic factor. So, biotic factor, living part of ecosystem. Community. A community is the group of living things found in an ecosystem. So, community, the living things in ecosystem. All right, well, what's an ecosystem? That's the next word. An ecosystem is made up of all the living and non-living things that interact in one place. So, all living and non-living, that's a plus, interacting in one place. All living plus non-living interacting in one place. Population. Population is on page 266. A population consists of all the members of the same type of organism that live in an ecosystem. So population, all members of same organism. All right, now we're ready to take notes. The first section in red is ecosystems and communities. Read it. Ecosystems and communities. Ecosystems and communities. If you put your head down near the ground in a forest, what would you see? You might notice ants marching in line, or worms burrowing through the soil. Fuzzy mosses might tickle your nose, and twigs and bits of leaves might stick in your hair. A section of forest floor is one example of an ecosystem. An ecosystem is made up of all the living and non-living things that interact in one place. Ecosystem equals living plus non-living, zoop, interact. It's important that they interact. Ecosystems can also be large, like a whole forest or a prairie. Indent, large, colon, forest, zoop, prairie. Any living part of an ecosystem is called a biotic factor. In a forest, biotic factors range from tiny bacteria to towering trees. Biotic factors, tiny bacteria, ranging all the way up to towering trees. Any non-living part of an ecosystem is called an abiotic factor. Abiotic factors include sunlight, soil, water, air, and range of temperatures. Abiotic, sunlight, soil, water, air, temp, period, for temperature. The biosphere, or biosphere, is the narrow zone at or near Earth's surface where life is able to exist. It includes the oceans, the lower atmosphere, and the upper part of Earth's crust. Biosphere, oceans, zoop, lower atmosphere, zoop, upper crust. Small ecosystem. Soil, a rotting log, fungi, moss, and a lizard are all part of this small ecosystem. Okay, so back up here where we saw ecosystem, arrow, small, page 264. Look at the picture and the description on 264. Ecology is the study of interactions in ecosystems. The Mojave Desert is one of the desert ecosystems in the Joshua Tree National Park in southeastern California. The land is hot and rainfall is scarce. Rugged mountains, exposed rock, sand, and scrubby plants make up the landscape. Okay, Mojave Desert equals ecosystem. The plants, animals, and other organisms in the Mojave Desert make up a community. A community is the group of living things found in an ecosystem. They depend upon one another for food, shelter, and other needs. They also depend upon non-living things. So, community equals plants, animals, organisms. The plants and animals of the Mojave are well suited for life there. Lizards and snakes, for example, get all the water they need from their food. Scales on their bodies prevent water loss. Well suited to their life. The habits of some animals help them survive the desert. Habits survive. The round-tailed squirrel curls up in a burrow and sleeps during the hottest and driest part of the summer. Joshua trees store water in their roots, branches, and trunks. Animals get water when they eat those parts. They also provide shelter. Okay, here's an example of a large ecosystem. The Mojave Desert ecosystem includes a community of these and other living things. Okay, so ecosystem, all the living and non-living things. Community, all the living things. So, the community includes bighorn sheep, Joshua trees, red-tailed hawks, rattlesnakes, probably different mosses and lichens and funguses or fungi, probably insects, beetles, all kinds of different animals. Coyotes, roadrunners. If it lives in the desert, it's part of the community and therefore part of the ecosystem. Okay, main idea. Give examples of the parts of an ecosystem. Walk through it through the notes with me. Examples of the parts of an ecosystem include all the living and non-living things that interact with each other. The living things are called biotic factors and could range from tiny bacteria all the way up to towering trees and everything in between. The non-living parts are called abiotic factors, including things like sunlight, soil, water, air, temperatures, dirt and rocks, all of the above. Okay. Now the living things are also called a community, and it could be plants, animals, and any other kind of organisms. All right, that's the first video. We got a lot of information. Good job persevering with the growth mindset. And roar Wildcats!